Okay then, that was tough. That required 2 people. Good job Elliot's home. That's all fully insulated and everything above there now. Now what I've done is up here, I've located the 2 cables that were hanging down from the ceiling before, which are numbered, by the way, 4 and 1, which corresponds to cables number 4 and 1 over there. So number 1 is my main lights, which is going to be 4 LED lights in this panel here, and number 4, sorry, is going to be 2 strips of LED lights, and they're going to be attached to this the outer face of these battens that I put up here. You'll understand why, but they're going to be shining outwards towards the sides of the van, which hopefully will become clearer why I want to do that a bit later on. But I'm just going to connect up the little power supplies to these now, and then we'll crack on from there. Here we go. Okay, there's my connections made. I've used these fantastic things called Wagos, which any electrician will tell you they wish they'd invented, because they are absolutely brilliant, and the millions and millions of those that must be purchased by electricians every week. Well, it doesn't bear thinking about, but Wagos are fantastic. All you do is you lift one of the levers up, you insert your stripped cable into the end, and then you snap it closed again, and that's it. That will hold that cable and make a real secure electrical connection as well. So that's all tucked away in there. Here's my connectors for the lights at this end, and these are the lights that I'm using for my main cabin lights. They're surface mounted, so they're nice and easy. All I've got to do is make a hole in this ceiling board big enough to get that plug through, and then I ceiling mount the light directly to that board. Of course it's only temporary at the moment because I'm going to carpet this board same as the walls, and I'm going to just mount these 6 lights that are going along this panel, and then I'll let you know exactly what the crack is with that. Okay, so I've gathered 4 of those interior lights. You can see them moving as I give this a little tug here, and they are going to plug into this 6-gang box here. The reason there's only 4 of them come into this 6-gang box is that the 2 at the very back, they're going to be on an independent switch, and I'm going to wire those differently. So I'm just going to plug those into this box now, and we'll move on from there. Okay, so that's 6 lights mounted, and the rear 2, as I mentioned, 1, 2, they're going to be independent. Which means I'm going to have to connect them differently. They're going to be working off this switch on the door pillar here, so that when I open the back doors I can just turn the 2 rear ones on and see what I'm doing inside here. So that means I'm going to have to cut the connectors off these and just wire them using Wagos to a cable from here. I've already got a supply cable here, which is also numbered, I believe. Yeah, 3, there we go. So there'll be a number 3 over there as well somewhere, and then I just put a cable from this up the pillar and join them all together up here to control these 2 lights. Yeah, the other job I want to get done today is I managed to get hold of a couple of these second-hand from eBay, and these are, well, they go on the insides of the doors here to cover up those. And what I'm going to do is, to make them look real nice, I've got a bit of carpet here that I didn't use last time I was working with the carpet, and I'm just going to carpet them. So there we go. Let's get both of those done, and mount those up as well, I think. There we go. That looks the business, doesn't it? Yeah, love it. Spot on. Love it. Okay, so the final job I'm shooting for today is, well, those of you who have been watching my camping videos may have noticed this sound, this bang bang bang, as the door opens and shuts. And what's happening is that this bottom roller here is catching on this screw, and one at the back there. And I think it's because the roller's worn. So what I've got is replacements for the bottom, middle and top rollers. So we're going to try and get the sliding door operating in a nice buttery smooth way, and this could be biting off more than I can chew this afternoon, but let's see how it goes. Here we go. Wow. Okay, so let's have a look. So here's the new roller, all of them nice and round. Here's the old one. Look, we've got a proper flat spot there. That centre wheel has been rounded off. See how the edges on this one are nice and rounded? This one's completely flat. Yeah, so that's pretty badly worn. And I dare say, as soon as we replace that one with this, the whole issue is going to disappear straight away. But we may go ahead and replace the top and middle ones anyway. Let's see how we get on. Here we go. It does just slide nicely into the rail, like that, actually. If I just, there we go. Let's get that into place. Mark where the old one used to be. Let's see what happens now. Brilliant, straight away, problem solved. Okay, that's it for day one of this little session. So what have we done today? We fitted ceiling and lights and insulation in the ceiling. I've secured the battery there. I've carpeted these little back door handles here, and I've adjusted the floor over there. Let's go around and show you. I've adjusted the floor to better accommodate this little stainless steel step that I had made to go there. Oh, and I've replaced that bottom roller down there, of course I have. So not a bad day in terms of productivity. I think tomorrow I'm going to try and finish getting all of the electrics in place, but we'll see. Certainly, I've also got these replacement B pillars to put in here, so I might have a look at doing that as well, so that it covers up these unsightly sort of bits down here. So we might get that done as well. But yeah, I'll make a plan and I'll be out here tomorrow cracking on again, and I'll see you then. Well, good morning everyone. Welcome back to morning 2 of this episode of the Astro 1 van build. Today I'm going to be finishing ceiling, finishing the ceiling as much as I possibly can do with the electrics in the state they're currently in. You can see I've got some tongue and groove board here, and that's what I'm planning to put down the 2 side strips either side of the plywood panel that you saw me fit yesterday. I've already got one of them in place, held up by my walking poles and a bit of scrap metal down there. So I'm going to get that mounted first and cut it, to try and figure out where I need to cut it to once all the trim is put back in. The second thing that I was going to do today was fit the new trim on the B pillars. Unfortunately, I've had a bit of an abject lesson in checking your parcels, because I ordered the B pillar trims back in November. It's now the end of August, so it's been nearly a year that these B pillar trims have been sat in their package unopened in my alleyway. And I've opened them up today, and it turns out that they've been taken off a Vivaro that had the bulkhead in as well. So they're exactly the same as the B pillar trims that I've already got in. In other words, if I put my coffee down, in other words, they've had a piece cut off down this edge in order to fit the bulkhead into the van that they were taken off. So these are completely useless to me. Now I've got two options. First option is obviously to source the correct B pillar trims and fit those. The second option is to fabricate some sort of panel to cover up the gap that I want filling there. I haven't made a decision on that yet. I will make a decision on that at some point. There's also going to be some carpeting done today. I'm going to probably carpet this ply panel that I put in yesterday, and then the tongue and groove panels, once they're all in, they're going to be painted. I'm not sure what colour yet, but we'll get to that when we get to it. So that's it for an introduction for day 2. I'm going to crack on and come on with me and see how I get on. Right, so that's the first piece of tongue and groove installed. Now at this stage I can explain much better my plan for the additional lighting that's going in here. So along this edge here, my plan is to install a strip of colour changing LED lights, and they're going to light out this way towards the windows on both sides of the van. And obviously they're dimmable, colour changeable, and they should add a nice bit of extra ambience to the inside of the van and be just a nice little modern touch, because you know, LED strips are all the rage these days, aren't they? So hopefully that'll go nicely, but we'll see. So I've got 3 pieces put in over this side, and I've got 3 pieces put in over this side. Next job, I think, I'm going to take this main piece of ply down, I'm going to take the lights off it, and I'm going to carpet it and put it back up. Yeah. so having done, what was I doing when we last spoke? So having done this, I'm really pleased with that actually. It's gone up, it's gone back up really nicely, and it, you know, it sets the wood off quite nicely. Although I am still going to paint the wood. I've threaded the cables for the 2 lights here down, so that they now come out with the power that's going to supply them via this switch up here. The other lights are all wired back in to the central hub that's above the front of that panel there, and the red and black wire you can just see hanging down right in the middle up there. That's going to be the supply for the 2 strips of LEDs that I'm going to mount once the wood is painted. I've also carpeted around this window. I've not gone all the way down to the floor because obviously the cabinets come up to just below the window, so they're going to cover up that ply lower down. The cabinets are also going to hide away the battery and the diesel tank there as well for the heater. So I'm hoping that the last job I can get done today is put one more strip of this this tongue and groove wood along here, so that this side of the roof at least is completely finished. And if I can manage that, I'll be pretty pleased with today's work, and I'll carry on with the next couple of jobs tomorrow. Let's see if I can get that done, and once that is done, or not, as the case may be, I'll see you tomorrow. Good morning. So you join me with a large pot of paint, a brush and some masking tape, and I'm going to paint up all of that wood that I installed yesterday. I'm going for white on the basis that it will take on whatever colour the LEDs are glowing at the time, and it's a silk finish, so that it'll be a bit more reflective than matte, just to sort of help that light to spread into the van a little bit more. So let's get cracking. Okay, so that's it for day 3 of this episode. There's one more day to go. I've not got a huge amount left that I can do tomorrow, but let me walk you through what has been completed today, because other than the painting, I've done 1 or 2 other jobs as well that I'm going to show you now. Okay, so you saw the painting, that's all been done. Very happy with that. I've also installed the LED strips down the side here. So what will happen is whatever colour they light up will sort of set these white panels glowing and sort of distribute the light down the sides of the van. The cables are now all in place where the switch is going to be for these rear 2 LEDs, and that's just so that when we open the back door we can turn those on and see what's happening in the sort of boot area. I'll take you around the side here. Okay, yeah, you can see the LEDs are on this side as well. What else have I done? Oh yeah, okay, so this final interior panel has been carpeted now. Still got the wheel arch to do, and that big piece at the back there is flapping around because it needs to. I need to still get access to that back pillar to finish that switch off, to wire that. I've also had a crack at carpeting the passenger side door card and the centre section under the gear stick there, which has gone quite well. I'm quite pleased with that. Ideally I'd like to do this, but I'm not 100% certain. I might do this panel here, but again I'm not 100% convinced that I want to yet, but we'll have a better look at that. I've got the driver's side door to still do, but I think I've got enough carpet left to do that, so no problem. The eagle-eyed will have spotted this. This is the little remote control receiver for the LED strips in the sides here. Okay, I think that's pretty much it for today. I've got some bits and pieces down here that I'm going to be working on tomorrow, very short bits. I've got the split charge relay here. That's the voltage sensing relay that's going to charge the leisure battery from the main battery under the passenger seat. Basically, you don't leave them permanently connected. There has to be some kind of relay so that this battery isn't being charged all the time, otherwise it will flatten your main vehicle battery. So this is called a split charge relay. I'll talk to you more about that when I'm installing it. Oh yeah, I told you about the B pillars. Well, I've pulled this B pillar trim off so that I can get to these cables here. One of the things I'm going to be investigating tomorrow is this switch down here. There's a little spring switch, and I think that's what used to turn on and off the interior lights in the load space here. So what I'm going to try and do is use this cable here to supply 12 volts to that switch, and then hopefully I can set it up so that when we open this sliding door, a set of lights come on that I'm going to install in the running strip here for the roller door. Either that or I'll attach some sort of light to the wood up here. I haven't decided yet. We'll see. And that's it for today, and pretty much my jobs for tomorrow. So get in there. Lots done in this episode, I know, but we'll crack on, and I'll speak to you tomorrow. Well, good morning. The target for today is a simple one. Today I'm aiming to get some electrical component in here to switch on for the first time. So I'm not bothered what it is. It's probably going to be the 4 main LED lights. But yeah, by the end of today, something is going to switch on and we're going to have actual electrical power into this living area in the van. So let's crack on. So here's all the bits and pieces that I'm going to be playing with today. Primarily we've got a fuse box, we've got a main switch unit. Each of the switches on that has their own independent fuse carriers as well. And then we've got the voltage relay, the split charge relay that I was explaining to you yesterday, which I'll give you a bit more detail on as I'm setting that up today. Yeah, let's crack on and do the first stage of this, which I think is probably going to be connecting up the relay to the new battery, which is over there. Okay, phase 1 is done, which is to run the main cable that's going to feed the leisure battery from inside here through the floor, underneath the floor. It's secured to one of the anti-roll bars, and then up into the battery compartment. Here we go. So that I'll connect up last, because I don't want to make everything live until I'm ready for power in there. So stage 2, here we go. Okay, so the next stage of things was to make up the fuse carrier and make that off onto the cable, and then put enough cable on the end of that fuse carrier to just connect to the positive terminal. There's a terminal just under here that I'm going to be using, so I didn't need a huge amount of cable on that, but I'll show you more about stripping and making off cable ends in a few minutes. Okay, so I'm just going to untake this. These have been like this since I first installed them way back, well, months ago now. So let's just unwrap these. All good. So the white cables, they go off to the various components around the van that I've installed, lights and bits and pieces. There'll be another one at some point for the fridge, but that doesn't need to go through all of the different areas of the van to get to other places, because the fridge is only going just down here to my left. So there will be another cable for the fridge, but let's talk about just what our first thing is with getting this split charge relay connected up. So this is a split charge relay. It's the one that came with the kit that I bought. I'll put the name of the company, and I'll put a link to the kit itself down down in the description below. But this is my split charge relay, and they're quite simple really. You basically, on the inside, you have a positive in from the battery, and you have an out that goes to the leisure battery. And essentially, when your engine is running, the ignition battery for the van is producing a slightly higher voltage than it is when it's just standing at rest. And this senses that higher voltage, and when the engine is running and it senses that higher voltage, it allows the current to pass into the leisure battery. What that means is that when you're just at a standstill, engine off, ignition off, and the battery is resting, this battery isn't draining power out of the main vehicle battery, which obviously we don't want, because that's going to flatten your main vehicle battery. And if it stood for a week, 2 weeks, whatever, with this battery sucking all the power out of the main battery, you're not going to be able to start the vehicle when you want to drive it away. So voltage sensing relay will sense a higher voltage from the main battery, and will at that point allow this battery to be charged by the main battery. Simple. Just a quick word while I'm at it on fuses. Now, there are 2 fuses in this kit, and most fuses of this style are to be installed as close as possible to the positive battery terminal, both the main battery and the leisure battery. Some people confuse the point of a fuse. Now, these are 100 amp fuses, and the whole point of a fuse is that they break. This little piece of metal in here will melt and break if the current passing through this exceeds 100 amps. Now, a lot of people confuse it and think that fuses are to stop people getting electric shocks. They are not. Fuses actually protect cables. Now, this cable is a 16 square millimeter stranded cable, and this is rated to take 110 amps of current, which means that this 100 amp fuse will break as the current reaches the point where this cable is in danger of melting and potentially causing a fire. So if a fault occurs at either end of this circuit and this cable is subjected to currents more than 100 amps, the fuse will break, which means the cable is protected from that high current and will not melt and break and possibly cause a fire. That's the point of a fuse in an electrical circuit. Okay, so let's just briefly talk about the tools I'm using for this process. The main ones are these. These are heavy duty croppers or cutters, electrical cutters. They've got a nice sharp edge on them for stripping and cutting the thick cables that we're using for this. Pair of pliers, and these are crimps. Now, ideally, I'd have a more heavy duty set of crimps, because what we have is these bad boys that have to be crimped onto the cable, and these aren't quite the right size, but they will just about do the job. I do have a more heavy duty set of these, but they're not here, they're in one of the other lads' vans. So I can use these, they are working, and I've got some heat shrink to tidy everything up again once these are on the cable anyway. But let me strip an end off a cable and just take you through the process of attaching one of these crimp lugs onto the end of a cable. Okay, so over here, this is the cable coming from the main vehicle battery. We'll deal with that one in a minute. But you'll see inside this split charge relay, we've got 2 positive terminals. This one is from the starter battery, it's nicely labelled up, and this one goes to the auxiliary battery, or the leisure battery, which is the one I've got sat down here. So we're going to make up a cable to come off this and go to the leisure battery. Okay, now this little bolt here that I have to attach the cable to is 6 mil wide. So I've got a 6 mil lug here, and that's going to sit nicely over there, and then there's a couple of nuts to go over the top of that. Okay, but the main thing is we need to attach this to the end of the cable that's going to join the split charge relay to the leisure battery. So here's that piece of cable. It's 16 mil braided flexible cable, or stranded if you want. It's important that we use stranded cable because it can be bent and it takes vibration, it will not break. A solid core cable, such as we use in housing electrics, is a solid copper core, and over time, if there's lots of vibration involved, it can actually crack. So that will cause a short, it could cause a fire, and will certainly stop your electrics working efficiently. So we use a stranded cable. Okay, now what I'm going to do, I need to trim enough of the insulation off this cable for the core to just fit inside that lug there. So it's about 10 mil. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take my cutters and I'm going to measure about 10 mil. It doesn't have to be perfect, but about 10 mil. And then I'm going to very carefully just score around that, just by little pumps of the hand there, just to make a line. And then I'm going to hold them steady and I'm going to twist the cable. Okay, and eventually you will feel yourself break through to the core, and it's very, very important that you stop immediately. Then you should be able to stretch, and off it comes. Okay, so there we have a lovely stripped cable, and the idea is that this fits over that and hides the copper completely, just like that. Okay, so the next stage is we take our crimp tool and I'm going to put this inside the largest of the crimps here to the point where it just pokes out the other side, and then I'm going to crimp it down until it goes tight. And this is the difficult bit. This is why a larger set of these crimps might be would be better, because I now have to hold that cable in there while I compress this crimp tool, and it's not easy because it's very, very, obviously at this point what we're doing is we're crushing metal to hold that core really tight. Okay, and then the sole purpose of the pliers is to grab that and just give it a little wobble so that it comes out, and there we go. Okay, just like that, and that will not come out of there now. That's really, really well, and you can see it's been crushed. The original shape of that was that, and you can see it's been totally crushed down to hold on to that, the core of that cable. All right, so that is making off and crimping a piece of cable for your battery. Okay, so it's a little bit rough and ready for now, but I can tidy this up once the cabinets are all in. So, lead from the main vehicle battery into the split charge relay, out of the split charge relay, through a fuse to the positive battery terminal of the leisure battery. Negative battery terminal of the leisure battery connected to the main bodywork of the vehicle. You can see I've taken some wire wool to remove the paint around here, and I've created myself a little earthing terminal using a bolt and a couple of nuts on there. Okay, there's also an earth lead from the split charge relay that's gone straight to the negative terminal of the battery. Okay, so the only thing left to do now is connect it up at the main vehicle battery end and test the split charge relay. Okay, so we're ready to give our split charge relay a bit of a test. I'm going to angle you so that you can see the split charge relay itself, and then I'm going to go and start the van up. And what should happen is that the split charge relay should sense when the van starts and the voltage rises from 12 to about 14. And we should get a red light on the split charge relay and hear a click, and it'll start charging the leisure battery. So here we are. Let me just pop you over here. I can probably put you a bit closer than that. Okay, so we should get a red light just here, and here we go. Okay, starting now. Okay, so I definitely heard a click, and I don't know if you can see it from your angle, but I can definitely see that in there is a red light glowing away, which means our split charge relay is working. The other thing that's worth noting is that on the heater, the Chinese diesel heater we installed, you can see there it says power is 14 volts. But if I just keep pointing you at that, when I turn the engine off, that drops down to 12. And I'm not sure how long it takes, but the light on the split charge relay is still on. Still on. There we go. Literally 5 seconds later, the light went off. Okay, so the big question now is, what am I going to set as my target for getting switched on today? And I think it's got to be the main lights, and if I'm feeling lucky, the LEDs as well. Let's have a crack. Okay, so we're just going to accept that the following is temporary, just to check my lighting circuit. So we've got a positive connection into the positive side of my fuse box. We've got a earth connection back to the earth side of the battery from the earth end of the fuse box, and I've just connected a single twin cable through a 10 amp fuse inside there onto the two main inputs of my little switch unit here. Now I know it's working, but let me just talk you through it. Basically every item here is daisy chained with the positive, so it goes into the first one, pops out into the second one, into there, and then into the 8 switches down below. Each of them is then in turn daisy chained with the earth, the neutral, back again to each of them until we come out to a main earthing cable there. Okay, now all of the earths essentially come together and go back to the main terminal of the battery, which is connected to the bodywork of the van. But here we are. We have 12.9 volts at the switch unit here, which means that I'll be able to plug in a 12 volt supply, 12 volt charger here. If I open that up, there's my normal 12 volt charger. Under this one is 2 USB charging points lit up blue, lovely. And I have wired, as you can see, the main lighting cable, which comes from the bodywork there, main lighting cable down here to the first switch down here. So let's have a look. Point you up at the ceiling and click. We've got lights, ladies and gents. Awesome. Now those rear two there, they're not supposed to come on because they're separate, they're individual. But these 4 here, yes, result. Okay, so I've decided to go the whole hog today, and that's the main lights on. But if I turn this switch on here and grab this, as I mentioned, the remote receiver for the LEDs is just there. So if I press this, oh wow, how cool is that? I'm going to come back and film this at night actually to get the full effect of it, but wow, I am absolutely buzzing. That feels like a massive, massive milestone and achievement in the progress of this van. I am so happy. Well, I couldn't stop there, so I've gone 3 for 3. The plan is that these 2 rear lights come on their own on this switch here. Here we go. Yeah! 3 out of 3 today. Unreal. That's it. I think I'm going to quit while I'm ahead. So that pretty much concludes this episode of the van build, folks. Thank you ever so much for joining me on this one. Feels like it's been an insanely productive 4-day stint. I'm absolutely thrilled with the way things have come on, and to be honest, I really feel like we're coming to the sort of home stretch now. I think I can count on one hand, maybe 6 fingers, the number of actual jobs that are left to do. Other than little tweaky bits, you know, but I really do feel like we're getting towards the end of this process, which is fantastic considering how this van looked when I started. Thanks again for watching. If you've enjoyed what you've seen, give us a thumbs up. Consider subscribing to the channel, and if you've got any questions or comments, then of course, as always, leave them below. It's been an absolute pleasure sharing this with you as always, and I'll see you next time on Wild Astro.